one of the things that we've been asked about is what we do for like team building and personal development at Orange Nebula. And when we talked about this, we kind of came up with a big list of things. And so let's go through some of them together. Malia, for you, what's some things that Orange Nebula does for team building and personal development?
Mike. Forgot.
What are some things?
What
That's
are
one of our
things?
team building things is we correct each other all the time.
Yeah. And banter all the time.
Mm-hmm. Don't let me derail you, though. You can say your
Well,
things.
okay. For personal development, I do check-ins individually with every person on the team pretty much. And a lot of that is talking through what they're currently working on project-wise, but a lot of that conversation kind of turns into what do they want to be doing? Is there areas that they would like to learn more in, or
Are there areas?
How often are you doing those check-ins with and is it with everyone on the team?
It's once a week, and it's pretty much everybody. I don't check in with Mark and Tom.
Okay.
I just talk to them
Who
regularly.
checks in with you?
Well, I guess I do.
We all just constantly are
Yeah,
checking in with
okay.
each other.
I
Yeah,
was
it's
like-
just an endless therapy session.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
What about from like a all the way organizational standpoint? What are some things that bring us all together for some of this personal development work?
Coffee walks.
So I would say from a very high level, if you, like without getting into and we can, but all the like little bulleted list of specific things we do. We just have an overall structure and culture and like heart behind all of the decision making that says like this is a place where we are wanting to have personal and professional development just be sort of baked into the entire culture and structure of all the projects and everything we're doing. And anytime it feels like someone is just kind of punching the clock, or they might be, or they've been handed a task that might go that direction, there are little yellow and red flags that everyone in leadership starts having, where it's like we need to make sure, and we talk to people and interact with people, and it's just by valuing that and prioritizing that, it just becomes part of everything because we bring that lens to it. And anytime that lens isn't there, we all ask each other like, hey, put this lens on. How is this helping you develop? What could this be doing to help you develop? But we do have really specific, concrete things. She has her weekly check-ins with everyone that are ostensibly, project management check-ins, but what they really are is personal human check-ins.
Right, because it's impossible for that not to be when you have the type of culture that is bring your whole
Exactly.
self to work. And
then we have this weekly coffee cart walk that we go on, where we go as a whole team and we go on a walk for 30 minutes to this coffee
it's
cart and walk
raining?
back. If it's raining, sometimes we wuss out, but most of the time we go anyway. And it's just an opportunity to just talk, and everyone knows like, okay, every Thursday this thing is going to happen, and we all get to engage with each other. Why don't you say some things?
Yeah, it's something that I think a lot about, and we've got a couple of initiatives going right now where we're trying to establish some tenets of the company about how collaboration and professional growth need to be intrinsic. But I think at the root of that, the desire is that each person that's part of the team feels like they're up against something significant, that their job is challenging, so that it's worth getting up in the morning, and that they have people around them so that if things go crazy, they can rely on each other, but they also feel like they can contribute to what other people are doing. And I think it's really a lot easier said than done. I think it's really easy to have this idealistic idea of what a creative company is, and we're all just like working together, and that's not really what it's like most of the time.
You have to fight for that. That
You-
doesn't just happen. It could very easily just turn into a job where everyone shows up.
Yeah, because I got stuff to do, right? Like I need you out of my way right now so that I can do the thing that I was asked about. And then by the time I need to collaborate, it's like you're tunneling and you've got stuff that you need to do. So
It is. You would be very surprised how easily, like a brainstorm about the personality of these stone golems, how quickly that can turn into just a task that you're performing at work, in the same way that like, packaging something for shipping or filling out a spreadsheet. Like it can very quickly take on that vibe if you're not protecting the magic and
or it could go the other way where it's a 4-hour discussion with 8 people. So, I mean, we do kind of have an ebb and flow, but you're right. People tend to feel some tension when they know that they're up against a timeline, or they feel like their time is not being used well and it doesn't present them well. I think that's a big thing. We all have a million things that we want to do, and some things that we have to do. And there's only so much you can get done in a day. So I think at a high level, what we are trying to do is define what our values are, define what our practices are, and then implement those practices and give space for those to live.
Some of that implementation then has looked like these weekly check-ins with Malia, and like Mark, I know you're doing kind of like monthly check-ins with people as well. And there's lots of other little things. Can you talk about the monthly check-ins just a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a lot of times it's me, but also Tom, just kind of checking in one-on-one, and that really is a professional development discussion. It's like, where are you going, Justin? What does this look like, Chase? Like, where do you want to be, and how can we align your creative vision with the creative vision of the company and have those intersect? That's a really important thing that I think doesn't always need to be weekly, because it's not task and project specific. In addition to that, even just this week, we're rolling out kind of a new structure where on Thursdays we have, basically kind of like an art direction, creative direction session with a bunch of people where we share our work with each other and then speak into everybody else's work to make it better, with some high-level creative direction, some high-level art direction, but also why, so that people can watch. Like if we're gonna critique something that, I don't know, Justin or Sean have been working on, Justin can speak into it. Krista can speak into it.
That's smart.
And then we've got, like Kevin is coming in and doing some art direction, because he's kind of stretching into that role, and that's something that we're going to be working on. And then I can speak into it. Tom can speak into it.
I know I cut you off earlier. Is there still
okay.
space for it?
Yeah, I was going to say that we do these things called ping-pongs, which I think is what you're describing, unless you're describing some initiative that I haven't heard of. But in the company, we do these things called ping-pongs that I think we've talked about on the show before, where, instead of just bringing your work and like presenting it to your boss or whatever, or the people on that project, everyone's invited. We all come together and we all look at like the state of a project, what's going on, and brainstorm and let ideas ping around. But then what that ends up doing is it has this sort of like professional and personal development outcome each time, because there are so many different perspectives and everyone is being asked like, hey, bring your best self to this situation and, mush your best self with everyone else's best self. And you can't just kind of like slip into your track. We also have a thing that we do called Idea Garden.
Yeah, I was going to ask next about how that plays into this.
So we do that first. So the way Idea Garden works is every week, everyone is entitled to 3 hours of just whatever you want creative time. And you can work on any project you want. It can just be any random idea you have, thing you want to do. And some people are like, oh, I'm going to make music. And other people, oh, I'm going to start working on my random video game idea or whatever. But then the deal is if you log any Idea Garden time each month, first Thursday of every month we get together, and if you logged any hours, you have to present what you were working on.
Awesome.
And then everyone talks about it. And it's just sort of a way of saying like, just embracing and exploring your creativity outside of the active projects is incredibly valuable to all of our growth and all of our work on other projects. And who knows, many of the things that we are now actively working on were plucked out of someone's Idea Garden explorations, where it's like, hey, this is really cool. Like, let's start giving more than just your Idea Garden hours to this. Like, you bring that onto the main schedule. And that's been a really good, I think. Sometimes we'll get together and it's like no one did anything because we're all too busy. But I think just as a general practice, the Idea Garden thing is really working well.
And I know one of the things that we've been able to do is kind of use some of these larger tools. Like right now, the one we've been using is Strengths Finder. We'll occasionally bring things like that into the team to learn more about ourselves, learn more about each other, how we work with each other. How was that experience doing Strengths Finder with everybody in the team? Malia, was that insightful? What have you kind of gotten out of that?
Yeah. So so far we've just taken the test, so we've only kind of looked at ours, our personal ones, and we plan to have a meeting where we all discuss it later. But I found it really interesting because there's some areas or like some characteristics that nobody on the team has, and then there are some
That's interesting.
that like I was really surprised by one of mine because I took this test, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago or something, and basically all of mine had changed. And so that was like interesting for my own, just how I work and how I lead the team. And but we actually looked at all of the data yesterday, and something I noticed, like even on the leadership team, is how out of the 4 of us, 3 of us are very strategic thinkers. I'm the one that's not. I'm not I'm not thinking as far in the future as they all are, but I can totally see how I have grown in that area just by being around them. So I'm really excited to like have deeper conversations with the team about what they observe about themselves and about the others on the team, to see kind of their observations of working together. And but it's been cool to just have that data in the first place.
Yeah, and prioritizing, time, energy, and effort into any of that self-reflection and team reflection is what leads to better, more intentional personal development and team development too.
And intentional like communication with each other. So we're going to break into small groups when we go on our retreat. We are going to start going on these annual retreats where we just get together and do a bunch of team building type things and work on projects and like just have a big block of time together. And in about a week, we're going to Nashville, and we're going to break into small groups and kind of go through our stuff and our Strengths Finder stuff. And the idea is that once we have this, I think we all understand each other pretty well, but I think this is going to help reveal some specific things to where we can say like, hey, if I need help with this kind of thing, like that person is, uniquely adept at helping me with that, or giving me some insight, or having a different perspective than I do on that kind of thing. They're organized in a way that I am not, or, they are more resilient in a certain area than I am, and maybe they can help with that. And
I think we tend to be attuned to other people's behaviors, but I don't know if we're always attuned to their motivations. And the real benefit to this, from my perspective, is you become more aware of other people and what their motivations are and what makes them feel valuable, so that you can start to elevate them and build trust. So there is a piece of it right away where everybody's like, I want to see my results, and it becomes very much self-reflective. But I think the real benefit is understanding, who's going to be best suited to help us be more efficient. That's going to be Eric, right? We're going to go over and we're going to talk to Eric, because Eric, like, not only is he good at it, but he loves it and can speak into how we can improve ourselves in that area. Who do we need to talk to that understands emotional intelligence and tact and these types of things? And it's not that everybody doesn't have some skill in those areas, but once we start to read and recognize what the strengths of each other are, we start to play into those, and then everybody feels valuable for being leaned into in that way. And it draws relationships closer together, and it makes us more of a tight-knit unit. And so that's one of the key benefits I see to the Strengths Finder is, and also I think you start to realize how other people view you and how different that is from how you view yourself. And I think the goal for us in exploring this is to really kind of have a more depth perception in the group.
As we're talking through all of this, I'm thinking about how not all companies are like this, right? Not all companies really care that much about self-reflection and team reflection and personal development. And part of me is wondering if the reason why this is so integral to our team, if it has anything to do with like the type of work that we do is like unique product development, which takes immense reflection on the product, immense reflection on the values of the product. And it's so different than like if you were to just be building a commodity in which your major focus is efficiency as opposed to uniqueness and experience. You see what I'm saying?
Very much.
Yeah, that's so I guess we just keep leaning into our values in all ways, and that's going to be something that's going to kind of keep us on this trajectory of personal development.
I think you're very right about that. I think this all the time.
It's because this is a left-handed,
You have to hold it funny for people to be able to see the mallard.
and I need them
which
to appreciate
you want to do.
it.
Yeah.
It's just for single lonely people who want to look at the duck while they're drinking.
That's very true.
There are
Take it
days-
from me.
That just means I have no structure. I'm just a sloppy guy that just shows up at your desk.
Sloppy Tom.
I wonder if this
Why is it an attack? Why isn't it like a
It just
Hug.
wants-
fond
because it's pokey.
embrace?
A fawn.
She's not fond of Franz.
What if it's a frond embrace?
She's not fond of Franz. Don't you do
This is
that.
just
Don't you look at the camera.
Guys, we're matching.
Who?
We are all wearing
Embarrassing, but
blue
whatever, you
today.
love it.
Huh?
It's embarrassing,
set
but
the
whatever, you love it.
standard.
You notice how I move the mic up because I've been trained like a dog?
Huh?
Sounds like some childhood drama.
It
You feel
does.
the-
It tells me a lot about you.
Does it feel like that to you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good.